Sciences, and he has been a director professor in Dr. G.B. Pant Hospital, a multi-super specialty hospital in Delhi. Has been working in the line of cardiac surgery for more than about 40 years now. And he had, I think, had taken up at least not less than 20,000 open heart surgeries, and in which the mortality rate has been very, very low. So let us first hear what he has his experience on coronavirus pertaining to the cardiac problems, the cardiac patients, what they are having. Let us first know about him, from him about this, and then we will talk about him. And you can have interactive session. You can ask questions after the lecture. Dr. Satsangi, please carry on, sir. Please.
Thank you very much. At the outset, please allow me to thank your organization and your good self and your team to invite me to participate in a program which is very vital to the health and life of our country at the present moment. Now, as you said, that most of my work has been the cardiothoracic work, particularly the cardiothoracic surgery work, in which I'm involved for last 40 years. And I was serving the Central Health Services. I joined them in 1976. And then I retired as a professor emeritus in excellence and director professor of cardiovascular surgery from G.B. Pant Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research. And presently I am serving as the professor of cardiothoracic surgery at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Rishikesh. Now, our center is also a COVID center. It is a center for treating and, the checking the corona infected patients. And as you all know, that this corona pandemic has taken the whole world into its grip presently. And we keep on hearing for even advanced countries like the United States of America, even the most of the countries of the Europe, like Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Britain, and now also even Brazil is involved, Germany is involved, and they have come up with lakhs and lakhs of cases. So much so that around 44 lakhs patients have been infected, out of which about 3 lakhs patients have died because of such severe corona infection. And in India, the data are much more disturbing, as now we know that we are nearly 82,000 patients who are confirmed victims of the corona infection, out of which about the 3,000 patients have lost their lives. And luckily, even 27,000 patients have recovered, but they are not, we cannot say that they will not get infected again, or they are not the carrier, or not, they are not the potentially source of infection. So situation is very grim as we see, and we have to concern it about that. And I was hearing some of your lectures, particularly the doctor from Singapore. She spoke very elaborately and detail about these epidemics, about this virus, about the conditions in the Singapore, and how the Singapore government is managing this problem very successfully and very competently. And at this juncture, I also admire the government of India, particularly the Prime Minister of India and the Health Minister of India, and because they have also done a commendable job in controlling this infection by causing a severe lockdown in the country, and which is have not allowed this to become to explode in this country. Though the number of cases are rising, number of deaths are also rising, but if we would not have done this lockdown and taken all these precautions and testing about a lack of patients every day, the situation would have been out of our control. But presently, definitely, I will say the situation is under control, and we are hopeful that under the dynamic leadership and the able leadership of our Prime Minister, we should be able to take control of this problem, and we will come out victorious and will save crores and crores of our population from the clutches of the coronavirus. As we know that about this coronavirus, Now, this was the virus which caused the SARS epidemic. This is known as the serious acute respiratory distress syndrome of 2012. This is the same coronavirus. And then again, also the Middle East, acute respiratory syndrome, which occurred in 2003. This coronavirus is little different from the other virus, and this started from the Wuhan. This is from the Hunan, the open market of the seafoods, and then this was detected that this is the same coronavirus, and therefore the WHO said that this is named it as a COVID-19. COVID-19 is an acronym or the short form of the coronavirus disease of 2019. And then this virus was again examined by the International Committee of the Taxonomy of Virus, and they named it as SARS-CoV-2, that is the SARS virus, coronavirus 2, which has come with certain mutation and with certain diseases. Now, this is the outbreak was so serious that WHO has to declare it in 2020, 30th January, as the disease of public health concern. And it was a public health emergency, and then they started alarming all countries that such a severe disease is going to outbreak, which may take the form of pandemics. And everybody was scared that this may not be a replication of the Spanish flu of 1918, where we lost more than 5 million people, which is a commendable amount in 2018. And it was more serious because in 2000, at that time, we had already lost many millions patients many million people in the First World War. So it was a great catastrophe to be followed by the severe drought in whole of the world, particularly involving India. Again, we lost many millions of the people in that drought. So everybody is scared and everybody is careful that this virus should not take the form of a various severe killer of the whole world. As we know that this virus is known as corona. Why it is known as corona? Because in the electron microscope, it appears like a crown. There are many, the glycemic acid spicules, which is spread out from the envelope of this virus. And the virus is nothing but is an RNA body, which is surrounded by the lipid films and which has got spicules. So it looks like a crown, and therefore it is named as the coronavirus. And then we coming this coronavirus, as we know, it has been initially said that it has come from the bats, and then it came to seafood market. And there was one Chinese person in Wuhan city of China, who went to a seafood market, and then he came back, and then he had the symptoms of from the coronavirus, and therefore it was thought that this is a virus which spreads from the animals to the males. But after some time, it was found that even his wife was suffering from the coronavirus, and therefore this theory was came forward that this virus can also spread from human to human, which was very dangerous. We can always know, and then we found sneezing or coughing, and they can infect a, a susceptible person to the any time. So therefore, then we found that not only this was spreading very fast, this virus, and it was estimated that within 7 days it may double the number of patients. So number of patients kept on rising, and then it was found that it was not only a problem of China, but it was a global problem as more and more patients were detected in United States of America. As you know, that nearly about 40 lakhs people have been infected in the United States of America, about 2.5 lakhs, around 2.5 lakhs patients in European countries like Italy, the Spain, the France, United Kingdom, or the Britain, Germany, Brazil, and all that. And therefore, it is a matter of grave concern for us. Now, so in the January 2020, as I said, according to the International Health Authority has declared it as the public emergency. Now, current this we see the coming on the clinical. How does a patient of corona victim looks like? And clinically, we know the main symptoms of the corona infection is the cough, the fever, the breathlessness. They may start producing sputum. They may start having fatigue. They may start having hemoptysis, that is blood while coughing. These patients may have urinary problems. These patients may have heart problem. We see, which we call as the myocarditis. These patients may have respiratory distress syndrome, and because of the severe disease. Now, clinically, we group these patients into three groups. One is the stage 1 are the mild patients. These patients may be asymptomatic, or these patients may have mild symptoms in the form of a sore throat or in the form of a dry cough, or it may be having fever, or they may be having conjunctivitis, or they may be having some extra virus manifestations. Now, these patients need not to be admitted. They have to be kept into a quarantine and observed. The second group is those who are stage 2, or they are the moderately infected or severely infected. These patients who have respiratory symptoms, they may have pneumonia, they may have breathlessness. These patients have acute respiratory distress syndrome. These patients will be having definitely fever, and these patients will be positive for the corona test. And now then we have the severe form of patients, which are the severe disease. They are very severe patients, and they have to be managed in the ICU. These patients have acute respiratory distress syndrome. They are very breathless. They are not able to breathe. They may have to assisted by a ventilator. These patients will also having the multiple organ involvement. They may have renal disease. They may have neurological disease. These patients may have hemoptysis. These patients may have the myocardial disease. So all these things makes these patients very vulnerable. They have to be treated in the intensive care. So these three forms of diseases which are there and which are very serious, and these patients have to be taken very seriously. Now we have to see that what are the corona suspects, what patients we will see that they are likely to be involved with corona patients, and that is we should not think that all these patients will be asymptomatic. They may not have symptoms, or they may have symptoms. Those patients who are symptomatic, these patients may be asymptomatic patients with a cough, with fever, with breathlessness, with hemoptysis, and they have the history of contact with a corona positive patients. Or these may be the symptomatic people who are the health personnel, like doctors and nurses and health workers who are involved with the care of the corona patients. If they become suspected symptomatic, they are also the corona suspects. Third group are the symptomatic patients who are admitted in the wards, and suddenly they have start showing the symptoms of the corona infection. I just said that it's not only the cough or expectoration or the fever or the sore throat, but they should always be accompanied by some degree of breathlessness. Now, this breathlessness is an important feature in diagnosing corona patient. So if any patient who is admitted in ward starts showing all these symptoms, he should be suspected for corona infection, and his samples should be taken for the testing of the coronavirus. There may be asymptomatic patients who are the of high group, as I said, those patients who suffer from diabetes, who suffer from hypertension, those patients who suffer from cancer, those patients who are taking steroids or immunosuppressive agents, those patients who are case of the renal failure, or those patients who are the cases of the multiple organ distress or the acute respiratory distress syndrome. So these patients, if they are known to be in contact with the corona positive patient, he is also a suspect. He should be isolated, quarantined, and tested for the coronavirus. Then there are the confirmed patients who have been shown confirmed by corona body testing and have been found that these patients are suffering from the coronavirus, and therefore these patients are definitely corona patients, whether they are symptomatic or asymptomatic. So these are the group of patients who should be corona suspects. Now the question comes that how are we going to sampling of these patients, how to collect sample. And as we know that if we have a bronchoalveolar lavage, this is a medical terms, and it is for those patients who are already on ventilator and are intubated. Now, if we lavage their bronchus and the alveoli and collect the sample, and then we test it for coronavirus, they have a high specificity. Almost 92% patient will be able to detect by doing this test. And then we have the sputum examination. Again, it's a very sensitive source of information. And sputum examination shows about 72% of patients who will be positive. Then we have the swab from the nasopharynx. Again, almost 60% will show positive. Then we have the throat swab or the oropharyngeal swab, and this will show in most 60% cases it will be positive. Then we can also do the blood examination, the feces examination, urine examination. Blood examination will be positive in almost 5% cases, feces about 1% cases, and the urine it will not be able to show any coronavirus. So these samplings are very important. Another point we should not forget that these samples should be immediately transported for testing within 48 hours. And for that 48 hours, and also during shifting, these samples should be kept at 4 degrees centigrade. If somehow we are not able to send this patient within 48 hours, these samples, in that case, we should keep these samples under minus 70 degrees centigrade, or we should try to keep it as low as in the freezer as possible till we are able to send these samples. Now, what are the methods of helping these patients? And as we know that one is a rapid method and other is a standard method, which is a gold standard method. And that method is also known as the RT-PCR method. RT-PCR is a gold standard method. This has a very high specificity of over 90%, almost 95%. It is the accurate testing. The only thing is that it is expensive. The other thing, it is time consuming. And then what is the other negative point is that it cannot be done in every cases. So it cannot be used for a screening test, but it is very specific test. The other is a rapid testing, which is an ELISA test. An ELISA test is done for the rapid testing, can be used for screening. It is not very expensive, but its specificity is very low. Within first 3 days, the results may come out negative, and the many patients we think they are negative and they are not the patient, and we send them to public, and then later they develop symptoms. As you know, the incubation period of this virus is 1 to 14 days. So on the first, second days, third days, fourth days, there may not be any symptoms, and we do a rapid test, and we find the test is negative. In that case, we clear out these patients. They go to their home, they go to their community, but they are the carrier. And on fifth day, usually they start developing symptoms, and then we find they have infected a large group of patients. So therefore, we should be careful. And the government of India has also not, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has not gone in the favor of rapid testing, and they don't approve of this testing. Now, coming upon that, how to control these diseases? How to control this disease is simply what is the treatment? What are the high-risk patients? We have to recognize these patients. As I said, those patients who suffer from myocarditis, patients of hypertension, patient of uncontrolled diabetes, the patients of renal failure, the patients who are on steroids, those patients who are immunosuppressants, like heart transplantation patients, the elderly patients, the bedridden patients. All these patients are the high-risk patients, and we have to be extra careful about that. Now, about the treatment, let me accept frankly that we don't have to date no treatment for it. No drug is available which is an antiviral drug and will kill these virus. No vaccines are available which will take control of. So you see, the situation is very grim. And if it keep on spreading like that, we are only very scared of already the Spanish flu, which was a world pandemic. So what we can do is to prevent this virus from infecting. Number one is that all the health personnel, the health worker, they should take all the precautions. They should wear the PPE, they should wear the mask, they should do frequent hand washing, they should wear gloves, and they should protect themselves because they can also become a victim as well as carrier of this virus. Now, secondly, what we see, the isolation. If we have a corona suspected patients, as I said, these patients should be immediately isolated, either in a place center of quarantine or the home isolation, should not be allowed to mix up the people. We should also not permit a large crowds gathering, particularly in public places like hospital. We should not allow lot more patients come to the hospital, more people come to the hospital, which is already having the corona infected patients, and then this can spread. So it is also very important. Social distancing, physical distancing this has been studied, and some studies show that this virus is spread by the droplet infection, cannot infect beyond the 6 feet or beyond 5 feet. So we should keep a distance of about 2 yards or 6 feet. But some studies have come out that also spread by the aerosol and by the droplet infection. And if in a room there are about, say, 50 patients and one is as a suspect, within a period of half an hour to 3 hours, it may infect all these 50 patients. So we should have to be extra careful about it. This virus may be sitting on a surface which is infected. We should not touch all these suspects. Even if we touch it, in that cases we have to wash our hands or we have to use a sanitizer to clear our hand. Then apart from that, we see all these patients who are suspects, they should be quarantined in a quarantine area. Those patients who are symptomatic, they should be admitted and they should be kept in the, what I should say, in the COVID ward. For not very serious patients and don't need ventilators, they may be in a COVID ward. These are the patients who have cough, who have breathlessness, who have the fever, and those who are patients are having conjunctivitis. Those patients who have become very serious, those who have gone into acute respiratory distress syndrome, or those who have a multi-organ failure, those patients who need ventilators, those patients who need extra pulmonary symptoms like, as I said, the neurological symptoms, the hematological symptoms, the nephrological symptoms, they should be kept in ICU and treated over there. Now, with God's grace, if patient recovers, as I said, the recovery rate is good. In our country, particularly, about 30% patients have recovered. So out of 82,000, or nearly, we have 27,000 patients who have recovered. And if they have recovered, then they should not think that they have become viral free. Even those patients who have recovered, they should be tested for the virus 2 to 4 days. And those who have the symptoms after the onset of symptoms, they should be tested after 7 days. And those patients who have gone home should be frequently tested for the presence of these viruses because they may be carriers. Now, other thing I would like to definitely talk about the treatment. I said mostly we use the paracetamol for the fever, and then we can use the certain other drugs have been used also, but they have not proved to be of much help, like hydrochloroquine, and we have the chloroquine, and we have azithromycin, and we have some other drugs also like olamivir, and a lot we've been hearing in the media about the plasma therapy. The plasma which is taken from the patients who have recovered from coronavirus, and this is transfused into the patients who are suffering from the corona disease, particularly the serious patients who are in ICU. And it is believed that these proteins of virus which are present in plasma will not allow the proteins to enter into the nucleic acid and therefore prevent the further worsening of the patients. One or two cases have been reported that they have recovered following plasma therapy. Some centers have reported the patient died of plasma therapy. Now, we don't know exactly that how much effective this is and what are the risks involved in this. But unless and until we prove and come out with some vaccine, I don't think we should take this problem easily. We have to take all precaution. We have to stay in lockdown. We have to avoid mixing the people. We have to avoid, making a crowd. We have to avoid going out and making, all picnicking and all these things. And we should fully support and fully cooperate with our government, which is doing their best in order to overcome this crisis. This is not an easy job, particularly a country like India who have 135 crore population, and most of these populations are below poverty line as we see. They are people, workers of daily wages. They are living far away from their home and they are stranded. But government is doing their best to help all these people. Let them well. All the best for them. Thank you very much, Dr. Devenji. I again congratulate you for having such a useful seminar. I have gone through some of the speakers, which are very pertinent speeches they have given about this coronavirus. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer. And so thank you very much. I hand over this to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satsangi. You
Thank
have
you.
given a very vital information to all of us. All of us in this meeting, if anyone wants to ask any question, want to interact with Dr. Satsangi, you are please welcome. You can ask any question if you have any query in your mind. You can ask here right now. Anyone wants to talk to Dr. Satsangi? Is another I am giving you if you want to talk to Dr. Satsangi, please, you have the opportunity to talk to him, to ask any question. If you have any query in mind, you can ask him.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Dr. Manika Kumari from Visakha Govt.
Good afternoon, madam.
Sir,
Please ask.
we have seen that this viral infection started in China, and Wuhan city was locked down for a long time. And we also have witnessed that they have contained that after some time. But after the containment occurred in China, it spread very much in other parts of the world. As doctors, do you have any idea what kind of treatment that the Chinese government or Chinese people have received so that they are able to contain that with relatively less number of deaths? And we heard that there is the Chinese are using some steam therapy and also some traditional medicine at home itself without going to the hospitals, so that the people themselves are able to control the infection and reducing the deaths. Do you have any idea about this, sir? Please reflect on this.
Yes, I must congratulate you. Your question is very pertinent question, and it's very relevant. And most of us are thinking on those lines. In the Wuhan, as you say, that they had a lockdown, and they said that virus is contained there, and there were no more cases, so they lifted the lockdown. And again, they found that cases have started returning to the Wuhan, and again, the number of patients started rising. Same thing happened, I must tell you, with the Spanish flu also, which came in 1918. And up to the 1920, they found that now the flu is gone and there are no more cases. So they lifted out all the lockdown and they started mixing with each other. And then they were very happy. And suddenly in 1922, this Spanish flu returned. And this time it was more severe and mortality went up to the 5 million of people. You must remember, now we are worried only when we have lost about 3 lakhs patients. Now, then the 5 million people were lost, were lost, and the virus definitely returned. Now, here again, people don't rely much on the statistics of China because they think probably in order to take care of its economy, they have lifted all lockdowns and they have gone back to normal, but they are hiding the real number of cases. But certainly we cannot risk with our population, though the problem of economic crisis is very much there because we are almost collapsing. The people are not earning anything. They are not able to survive. The government has released a package of about 20 lakhs crores of rupees to help these people. But how many such packages can we afford? This only is about 10% of our total GDP. Therefore, the other thing is we have no alternative. Till some vaccine comes or some drug comes, which is definitely effective against this virus, till that time only we have to hide because we are fighting an unseen enemy. We have to go and hide in our houses and should not allow us to come in contact with this virus. And then we have to buy the time. It is expected maybe the some time, as some people say, as it warms up, and the warmth can cause some attenuation of this virus, at least if don't kill that virus. And also the things which we are practicing, the physical distancing, social distancing, home isolation, we have the all kind of wearing masks, washing hands, sanitizers, all these we keep on practicing as far as we can till we come out with some vaccine or some treatment for this virus, or till the graph shows that the incidences of the virus patients have they now settled down and the virus, the curve has started coming down. In that cases, we should be able to open up and take out the lockdown. But at presently, I don't think the situations are very happy situations, and we are facing a severe crisis.
Thank you, sir.
Dr.
Yes, one
Satsangi,
more thing, as you said, the people who are taking treatment at home, I keep on seeing it at television. Many of our yoga guru and many of our Ayurvedic, they keep on claiming such things. But then only thing I would like to warn that these are not the evidence-based medicines. I don't condemn our Ayurveda system. I don't condemn my Vedas. They may be having lot of wisdom and maybe having lot of treatment. Because in today's time, the experts are not there. We have not done researches on that. We don't have people who know about the Ayurvedic system. So in this condition, I cannot promise anything, though it is not my field, and I don't want to dampen the enthusiasm of our indigenous medicine. But at the same time, I don't approve of that.
Thank you.
Thank
What
you so
madam
much, sir.
actually asked was, what madam actually asked was about the homemade medicine, what we call as dati amma ke nuske. That
Yeah.
China is trying out now. Is that correct? Is that the right approach to be taken at this time?
Well, as I said, there is no evidence base. Nobody has conducted any study on such medicines. Unless and until we conduct a group of patients who are having these medicine, and then we have another group, the control group, they are not taking these medicine, and we should have certain parameters we should define that, for example, we take patients, 100 patients, and then we start giving them this homemade medicine. People are not now claiming that even Ganges water, which is also having a lot of bacteriophages, it may be effective in cases of corona infections. But unless and until we conduct a study and we monitor their viruses, if the viruses disappear after taking this medicine, then we are in a position to say something. If they do not make much difference, then I don't think we should keep the people in dark, rather they should face the situation and we should offer whatever treatment is available in the hand of, modern medicine. At the same time, we keep on trying to develop some vaccine or getting some antiviral drug, which will definitely control it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us all the medical information, which is like the need of the hour now. And something which we cannot see is so small, we cannot see with our naked eye, is terrifying the whole world. And the only way we could cure is with the medical information we have. And I'm very thankful to you that you have provided us with that information. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm also very thankful to you to your team, to Dr. Devennath Srivastava, who is a close friend for quite a long time and has stood by me in all thick and thin. And I'm always with my pleasure to participate in such conferences and such webinars and contribute up to my best. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody, if has any question from Dr. Satsangi, can send a mail to us. We will get the information from Dr. Satsangi and mail it back to them. We are open to that also. In case you have any queries, questions, any doubts in mind about anything related cardiac problems also, apart from the coronavirus, any problem, any doubts you have in mind about cardiac problems, you can mail it to us on the same mail ID, and we will get the answers and replies and suggestions from Dr. Satsangi and mail it back to you. Thank you very much, Dr. Satsangi, for being with us for such a long time and sparing your precious moments with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Akshay. You are most welcome, Devin. And I'm really delighted and thankful to you for inviting me to participate. Thank you.